Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me at the back?
Yes.
Okay, I heard there were some volume issues in the back. All protocols observed. I have to touch on forestry and tourism. So I read a very nice quote today, or part of a quote, that said that biodiversity is the infrastructure that's the basis for supporting all life. And I think it was related to the WWF report that we've been referencing. There currently is much of a doom and gloom, and you would have maybe start to feel it when we talk about the future of our world's biodiversity. The IPCC gives us 12 years to turn the tides of climate change. Tropical forests are disappearing. Plastics in the oceans are increasing. And the recent report by WWF indicates that our animal or vertebrate biodiversity has disappeared. Much of it has disappeared, 60%, in just a matter of decades. This is not over a long period, just a few decades from the 70s. So yes, we don't need to worry. But despite this, we are also getting messages that all is not lost if humanity came together in a global effort to change our approach to development. Now, development is a key word here, and when we talk about conservation and the protection of biodiversity, we cannot speak of it outside the context of livelihoods. So the conversation really is about how we use well the resources that we depend on to live, but yet leave them in a state that it can contribute to further development. Guyana is positioned within the Guyana Shield, and we have many Guyana Shield experts on this panel, by the way. And this area has been recognized globally, I'm talking about the Guyana Shield, as an area offering magnificent opportunities for conservation action. Guyana has also always taken an exemplary stance when it comes to conservation and management of our natural resources. Some may want to debate with me on this, but we have a discussion after. One such is our protected area system. We are on the map for having one of the first protected areas in South America. In 1929, the Kaieteur National Park was created. And although it took some time to pass our protected area legislation, in 2011, the offer made by the government of Guyana in 1989 of 1 million acres of intact tropical rainforest in central Guyana to the international community through the Commonwealth was truly innovative and visionary, preceding the Big Rio Conference on the Environment, which was held in 1992, where a lot of important decisions were taken. And of course here, I speak about that very special place where I work, called Iwokrama. The government of Guyana is also on the path to adding 2 million additional hectares to the existing protected area system, which currently stands at about 8.1% of Guyana's landmass. And this I refer to the President's commitment to the Paris Agreement on climate change. So I want to talk a little bit about Iwokrama and forestry. One of the things we get, you cut trees. We're a protected area. Yes, we cut trees. But why are we cutting trees? Iwokrama was set up to be a special protected area that could demonstrate the wise use by modeling sustainable use scenarios. Forestry is one such, as timber is one of the main extractive uses of the forest. Now, Iwokrama has two zones, one called the Sustainable Utilization Area, which is for demonstrating sustainable use activities, and the Wilderness Preserve, of which one objective is to function as a control area. The scientists in the room would understand this. A control area for assessing the impacts of what we're doing in the sustainable use area. Our work also allows us to do research regarding impacts of such sustainable businesses on the forest. We also follow national guidelines of the Guyana Forestry Commission, and we do more, as well as other national regulatory agencies. And it should be noted that Guyana is recognized as one tropical forest country that really has good guidelines for forest management through the Guyana Forestry Commission. We also follow relevant international regulations And Iwokrama was also the first in Guyana to have international certification for forest management through the FSC, or Forest Stewardship Council. So what is some of our research showing us so far as it relates to reduced impact logging, or RIL? Our formal impact monitoring has yielded excellent results this far that has led to journal publication in 2015, and the recommendation was, if RIL was extensively adopted, forestry concessions could represent sizable and important additions to the global conservation estate. This study focused on bioindicator species, birds, bats, and large mammals. A WWF-funded study also looking at jaguars and using camera traps also yielded more positive results, where it shows when we compared log sites and unlogged sites, the CAP estimates were very comparable. Yeah, we do get quite a few jaguar sightings in our log areas. Another study looking at seedlings showed that forestry practices associated with reduced impact logging have little effect on natural regeneration rates of key commercial valuable species. And very excitingly, our preliminary research shows that Iwokrama is a stronghold for white-tailed peccaries, which are reducing in numbers not only in Guyana, but also in Suriname and some other parts of the Guyana Shield. Multiple large herds are consistently seen over the last few years. And even more exciting, first camera trap sightings for very rare bush dogs in both logged and unlogged areas we have been recording. So we are doing some pretty exciting work looking at sustainable forestry. Now looking at Iwokrama and tourism. Now tourism is probably less controversial than forestry when we're talking about what we're doing in protected areas. But it has the potential, we have the potential of developing our Guyana tourism using our immense biodiversity assets. I won't go into figures here, but spaces such as Iwokrama, Kaieteur National Park, Sarama Village, Rewa Village, Karnambo, Karasabai, and many other areas have tourism products that are dependent on showcasing our vast biodiversity. The bigger question for us as Guyanese in particular is how we use tourism not only for economic benefits, but how to inspire Guyanese to be more conscious and contribute to the nation's conservation efforts. For many of us in the conservation field, it has been going to these amazing places in Guyana that actually encouraged us to be in this field. The challenge mostly is the cost of getting people into our interior locations. Transportation costs are so exorbitant for most, and this affects the pricing of our tour packages to most places. Additionally, our infrastructure is often an impediment. Every year between May and August, I get the heebie-jeebies because the Linden-Lethem Road becomes a sore point for our tourism. This year, the road was bad, and this has been continuous for the past 10 years, 10 years or so. We had to fly students out on a few occasions. At one point, we had to stop tours between the Iwokrama Lodge and the Canopy Walkway because the road had gotten so bad. And it made no sense because of the wear and tear on our vehicles. One time we had students stuck on the road for 6 hours, and that space of time that only usually takes about an hour and a half to traverse. So we really all have to put our collective efforts together, as some of the panelists have already indicated about the situation of tourism. So the government, the private sector, I think I see the president tag here, communities, educators, media. Anybody from the media here, other than UG Media? How can we change the culture of the media to be more sensitive to promote Guyana as a choice destination for tourists? Many countries have crime, Jamaica and Trinidad, and many Latin countries are far worse than that. We're going there. I firmly believe that tourism has a key role to play in shaping Guyana's green state blue economy planning. We have an amazing product, not only because we have amazing biodiversity, but because we also have amazing people, we have an amazing culture, we have amazing food. And you put all of this together, we have an amazing package, but it needs consistent support in order to develop. We at Iwokrama have many lessons to share. Thank you very much.